Today I got a brand new Acer Aspire 5 laptop. The customer wants me to do a few upgrades on it for them before they take it home. I'm going to show you what I do. Hey guys, what's up? Dale here. Today I have a brand new Acer Aspire 5 laptop. Customer just bought. Before they take it home, they want me to do some upgrades on it for them. It's not too bad the way it is. Basically, it's Windows 10 in S mode. I am going to get it out of S mode for them. I do have a video on how to do that if you need to do it yourself. Basically what I'm going to do is I took it out of the box, I turned it on, that's it. Haven't done anything else to it. I just wanted to, let me go into system here real quick. Let's see. This came with, as you can see, Windows 10 in S mode, 2004 edition. I will do a clean install of Windows 10 when all is said and done. But what I'm going to do on this model here is put in a new hard drive. I'm going to upgrade the NVMe SSD, and I'm going to add a little more memory. It has 4 gigabytes DDR4. It has a 128 gigabyte NVMe M.2 SSD, and it has an empty 2.5-inch bay, which Acer, on all these Aspire 5 models, at least here in the US, I'm not sure about other countries. People ask me all the time in the comments that are from other countries, said they didn't get the mounting kit, so I'm not sure exactly how Acer does that. But I know in the US, you get a mounting kit with the SATA cable and all the mounting screws. Comes in the box. This is an Intel Core i3 10th gen. The AMD versions of these Aspire 5s, I sell those as well, Ryzen 3s and 5s. They come with the kit already installed inside the laptop, so you just have to open it up and boom, there it is. So, without further ado, first thing I'm going to do is just I'm going to shut it off. I got all the specs and the exact model number for you on the screen there. It's a Aspire 5 A515-55-35SE. I sell a lot of these. Not a bad little laptop, backlit keyboard, full 1080 display. Does not have a SD card slot. None of these Aspire 5s do. Does have a C-type USB to USB A-type, HDMI port, Ethernet port, and of course your power cord. And over on this other side, you got one USB port and your headphone jack. So let me show you what I'm going to put in it. I'm going to take out the factory SSD. By the way, it is a Samsung. It's an OEM version, but it's a Samsung. I'm going to put in a brand new 500 gigabyte Samsung 970 Evo Plus NVMe SSD M.2. These are really good performing drives. So we're going to go 500 gig on that. Then as a little added bonus for storage, I threw in a brand new Seagate Barracude 2.5-inch hard drive, or HDD, to put in that empty bay. Now you can easily, if you want, do this a couple of different ways. You could put in a 2.5-inch SATA SSD in that empty bay of any size really, 250, 500, 1 terabyte, or even 2 terabyte. But in this case, I just threw in this 1 terabyte Barracuda. I give away a lot of these when people do these upgrades, just so they have extra room for storage. They're going to dump a lot of photos and videos from their phones on this. It's going to be 2 different people using it. Like I said, it has 4 gigabytes of memory, which is on board, and it's got 1 RAM slot inside. I'm going to add a 4 gig stick of DDR4 2666 Samsung memory to get it up to 8 gigabytes. Now that slot will support a 8 gig or a 16 gig, so you can go to 12 or 20 gigs, but in this case we're just going to double it from 4 to 8. So on the bottom here, it's got 11 screws that you got to take out. They're all the same length. They're easy to get out. You can use a number 0 or a number 1 Phillips or a 0, but a 1 would fit better. There's 11 of them. I've already taken them all out. Didn't want to bore you with that. So I like to use these little blue triangle Spudger tools. You can get these online. I'll have a link down below where you get these, as well as this other stuff that I'm putting in here for you. So after you get the screws out, usually on these, they're a little tight along the front here sometimes, and even the back. But if you start like in a corner, you can see after you take out the screws, it's ever so slightly lifted up there. You can see that, but it's kind of came up a little bit. So I'm going to get my little plastic triangle spudger tool in there, in the corner. I'm going to kind of slide it carefully along the front here. Don't use metallic tools. Metal tools, you will leave booger marks or tool marks. Just be patient. Now before you get inside your laptop, guys, always make sure you're protected against static discharge. It's a little disclaimer I give every time I do a video. Just use an ESD wristband or a mat or both. Just work in an anti-static environment if at all humanly possible. I'm all anti-static here. This is anti-static commercial grade carpet here in our floors. We've never ever had a problem ever. So we're careful, but I don't wear a wristband. It's just too awkward and clumsy. It's in the way. I just don't need it in my situation. So now that I got it kind of started here, I'm going to take my little nylon spudger tool here and try to get it started here. Don't be poking in too far because there are speakers right here. Don't poke a tool in there. You're going to ruin your speakers. But you can see once you get it started, it kind of lifts right up just like that. So I'm going to set that over there. So don't touch anything in here you don't have to, guys. The battery's still connected. I'm going to pop that loose in just a second. Here's our empty RAM slot. There is 4 gigs on board, DDR4. Here's our M.2 NVMe slot and drive over here, and here's where we're going to put the 2.5 inch hard drive. This little guy is going to go in here with this cool little mounting kit. All right, so let me disconnect the battery just to be safe. If you accidentally drop a screw in there or your tool slips out of your hand or something, yikes, you can easily brick your board. So what I'm going to do is peel this tape up, try to remember to put it back on when I'm done. And this little connector here for the battery, you can see that, but it slides back towards the battery out of that slot right there on the main board. It doesn't require too much pressure, but I'm going to use my plastic tool here to kind of jiggle it loose. It came right out. It's really that simple. But as an added precaution, there still might be some juice in the circuit, so carefully I'm going to lift it up. You have to hold on to the battery because the only thing holding that battery in there is that bottom cover. So you have to hold on to it or it'll flip right out on you. So I'm going to lift that up and I'm going to hit my power button a couple of times. Get rid of any residual power that's still flowing around in them circuits. I've done many of these without disconnecting the battery, popping in a stick of RAM. But anything else, I would disconnect the battery just to make sure I'm protected. So I got that taken care of. Let's go ahead and pop in my stick of RAM. It only goes in one way. It's keyed to go a certain way. So just make sure you get it seated in and down all the way. Like that. Hopefully you can see that, guys. I'm going to put it in, get a good click. Make sure your arms came over. That looks good. So that part's done. I'm going to remove the M.2 drive they got over here. There's one mounting screw. I'm using a number 0 Phillips to remove that. This is just a little 128 gigger. I'm going to get that out of the way. Solicitor, sorry guys, I get way too many of those every day. So let me open up the drive here, our Samsung 970. Put in there. Like I said, I'm going to do a clean install of Windows 10 20H2. These are always fun to get out of the package. I should have did this ahead of time, but I didn't. All right. Come on, Dale. You can do it. So there, very good high performance drive, 500 gig. Now on these drives, the label they put on these from the factory actually helps as a thermal pad. It spreads the heat out a little bit evenly over the NAND chips and the controller down here. So I am going to add a thermal pad to it because there's literally no ventilation holes in this area at all. This isn't a high-end gaming computer by any means, guys. It's just going to be used for productivity and regular home stuff and internet and Microsoft Office and stuff like that. But nonetheless, I'll put a thermal pad on it so I don't get, you know, people yelling at me in the comments. There's pros and cons. Get it in the slot all the way down. Of doing or not doing the thermal pads. There, that one went in a little stiff. But you just got to make sure it's seated all the way, which it appears to be. This drive isn't going to be taxed too hard. Not that big a load put on it, but they still can get pretty toasty. They are designed to run hot, no question about it. If you can keep it cool a little bit more, make it last a little longer, then great. I just want to make sure that's another way. Guess if it don't go in all the way, just grab your hammer. It'll fit. Kidding, don't do that. All right, so there's our drive. I got a thermal pad ready over here. Just a standard blue thermal pad. You can buy these online. They're very, very inexpensive. Just like that. I already peeled the protective tape off of it because I always struggle with that on camera for some reason. Just got to kind of get it on here nice and straight. Oop, just like that. And as it heats up, it's going to suck it right to the drive and it's not going anywhere. Plus you got the cover. So there, we're protected there. A little bit better heat spreading capabilities with that thermal pad on there. Again, I do these a lot without it. I've never had a problem, ever, at one time. So now we have to mount the hard drive in this caddy, okay? So this is going to go just like that inside the laptop, okay? It only goes one way. It's all keyed, the holes to line up. Now, I've done it like this with that ribbon cable underneath, but you can see they leave extra cable here. That's how it comes, just like that. There's nothing on the bottom side of that cover that can catch on that, so to speak, but you can easily mount it underneath cable just like that, which today that's what I'm going to do. So we're going to put that in there. Now this cable is slightly pre-bent. If you look close at it to go one way, it's going to go over like that. So it's going to, where it's going to attach is right to the motherboard underneath the Wi-Fi card, which we have to loosen to get that little clip up for the cable to plug into. So this is going to go on the hard drive. Get out of there. Just like this, guys. Basically, the label of the drive is going to be facing up. But they're all a little different, just depends. So the hard drive, that cable is going to connect to this little connector right here, right underneath the Wi-Fi card. We have to take the Wi-Fi screw out and have that pop up so we can get it up and get it in and push it back down. Now sometimes these screws are a, you know what, to get out, a number 0 Phillips. A good quality tip is very important because that screw is kind of crappy. It's got a very crappy Phillips head in it, so you need a good quality screwdriver. I've had people leaving comments where they've stripped that out and they can't get it out, and then they're like, what do I do? I have a way that I can drill those out if that ever happens. Gotta be really careful because it's right there on the motherboard, but I have in the past once or twice had to drill those out. I was able to, you know, get it taken care of. Biggest thing is when you're doing that, you got to be careful the metal shavings don't get in on the motherboard and short something out. That's kind of tricky to do, but I've done it. So anyway, use a good quality Phillips bit to remove that screw. We're not going to do that just yet. You got to put the hard drive in the caddy here. There's just 4 mounting screws, guys, just like that. And the mounting screws, put it in there, does come with the mounting kit from Acer. I'm using a number 0 Phillips screw driver. Bear with me while I put these screws in, guys. There's going to be 2 on each side, pretty straightforward. Not rocket science. 1071, the drive. Sorry, talk to myself. People tell me in the comments I talk too much. Just my nature. Talkative, friendly guy. All right, so we got that mounted. We're gonna slip it underneath this cable here. Should not have to disconnect it. Like I said, it kind of drops in there only one way, just like that, guys. And there's gonna be 4 screws to hold the caddy in, which are included in the mounting kit. So let me do that real quick. I've done these with that cable going underneath the hard drive, never had a problem. And today I'm going to do it this way. Cable is up like that, we're not going to disturb it, just leave it the way it is. It just goes over this, from the main board over to this I/O board where the USB port, headphone jack, and the power and charge LEDs are located. I actually had to replace one of those not too long ago. Kid jammed something in the headphone jack and just boogered it all up, and I was able to get a new I/O board, and boom, took care of it. I didn't have to do any soldering or anything. All right, so we got our 4 mounting screws now. Like I said, we're going to remove that one screw right there carefully. Hopefully it's not torqued in there. Sometimes they are. Oh, it is. Boy, they put those in there so freaking tight. Very tiny little screw, easy to strip it. So just like I said, have a good quality tip on your screwdriver. Don't use a cheap screwdriver. You got something with a real hard tip to get into that Phillips head really good. So that's all we need to do. Now I'm going to flip that little white lever up, pretty standard, without breaking it, and we're going to plug in the cable. Now this is the part you got to be careful of, because these cables sometimes are a pain to slide in there. I know you can't see, but sorry. They never go right in. Just got to make sure you get it in there all the way. I got a video not too long ago I did where I did a model very similar to this. I thought I had the cable in all the way, but I didn't. Basically, you want it to go in to the black line on the cable right up, you know, parallel with that little white clip that pushes down. So that looks like it's another way. Otherwise, the drive just won't show up. It's not going to hurt anything, but now we got to put our screw back in for our Wi-Fi card. This has Wi-Fi 6, AX, not AC by the way, and Bluetooth, which is all in that one card. I don't know why they put those in there so tight. You don't need it that tight. It's probably done by a robot, I'm sure, and it torques it in there. All right, so there's our new RAM, our new NVMe Samsung 970, our 2.5-inch HDD Seagate Barracuda, 2.5-inch drive. Now we're going to hook the battery back up. Now once you do the battery, be careful. Don't touch anything. Don't drop anything, because there's going to be juice flowing in them there circuits. I gotta turn this here. This is pretty straightforward. Plugging this back in. Just make sure it goes in all the way. Oh, there goes my battery. See? My bad. You can see it's pretty self-explanatory how that plugs in. Put my little piece of tape back over it, just to keep it covered up. All right, so we got our thermal pad. Looks good. Let's put this back on. We're good. We're going to have 8 gigs of RAM and a 500 gig really good quality SSD and 1 terabyte hard drive for extra storage. Of course, we're installing the Windows on the NVMe drive. I'm just going to snap it all back in place, guys. I'm not going to put the 11 screws back in until I get Windows installed and everything's okay. I'll plug in my power cord. I'm going to go into the BIOS on this to show you how to turn on the boot menu, because by default it's always disabled, just in case you need it at a future date. Oh, I'm stuck here, guys. Hold on, sorry. All right. So here's my Windows 10 USB install drive. You can download the Windows 10 Media Creation Tool for free. Just Google it. It's super easy. I'll have a link down below. where you can see how to make one of these. I did a video. It's quite straightforward. You need 8 GB flash drive or larger. Just plug it into a USB port. I'm going to turn it on. I'm going to start hitting F2. Now it might take a minute to post after putting that new RAM and drive in there, because the BIOS is kind of reading and training all that stuff, so we got to be patient. If the Acer logo doesn't come up right away, don't panic. It will, unless you got some bad parts or something, or you did something wrong in there. If you protect yourself from static discharge and use good quality tools and take your time, guys, you should be fine. Gotta wait for it. I'm just tapping the F2 key. That'll get me into the BIOS or the CMOS. There it goes. There we go. All right, so there's our 8 gigs of RAM showing up. Obviously, there's our Samsung 970 Evo Plus. But let's arrow over to where it says main, then we're going to go down to where it says F12 boot menu. Right now it's disabled. Just hit enter. I'm going to enable it. Doesn't hurt anything, just leave it on. You don't have to change any other settings in here for the new stuff. It's good. And secure boot and all that. You want to leave that alone. Just save and exit. And I'm going to start tapping F12. Bring up the boot menu. Now, being an empty bare drive in there, had I not done this, it would have defaulted to that USB flash drive to boot anyway. But this, for future use, if you're doing some maintenance, you want to boot up a flash drive or an external drive or anything, it's nice to have that F12. So it's right there. There's our Kingston. Hit enter. We'll let it boot and get the install going. I won't bore you with the whole installation process, just going to get it started, but towards the end I'll pop back in and we'll just kind of wrap it up. Yeah, this drive's going to be a lot faster. Oh, and my touchpad doesn't work. Oh no, I hate when that happens. Let me grab my mouse here, guys. I'm not worried about it. We didn't disconnect anything. That's just because the driver's not loading. I see that a lot in Acer and HP, actually all of them. Just plug in my external mouse real quick. Sorry about that. Get out of the way. So anyway, US in my case, I'm going to hit next, install now. All right, accept the license terms. I'll hit next. I'm going to choose custom here. Here's both of our drives. Obviously the 931 gigabyte, that's our 1 terabyte HDD. We don't want that. We're going to install Windows on drive 1, which is our SSD. So I'm going to hit next. And just let the files copy over, and this process, the whole install, probably going to take about 5 to 7 minutes, somewhere in that range. So I'm going to let this go, guys. Once it boots the first time, you can pop out your flash drive and let it finish up. So that's what I'm going to get almost into Windows, and I'll be right back. All right, guys, I got through all the Cortana stuff. It's pretty basic. I got tons of videos on doing those clean Windows installs. So if you really need to see it, just go snag one of my many videos to see how to do that. A lot of my regulars probably get bored by seeing that all the time, but it's got to be done. This part shouldn't take too long. Just want to get in there and make sure everything's reading correctly. Eventually my mouse, my touchpad, ELAN and Synaptics will install. Yeah, sometimes they do that, sometimes they don't. Most of the time they don't, but sometimes they just do that. Not even worried about that. But these Aspire 5s are pretty affordable little laptops. You add a few little inexpensive upgrades to them. They're not too bad. It's not a gaming computer. So, you know, people are concerned about dual channel and frame rates and all that. This is not a gaming machine. It's got the Intel, core processor and Intel UHD graphics, but it'll do some light gaming, just not what we call a gaming computer. So, get rid of this stuff, display drivers. Trying to install, but until we have internet. So I'm just gonna, let's see, right click. I'm gonna go to system real quick. So So there's our 8 gigs of RAM, our 20H2, our Windows 10 in S mode. I have a video on how to get out of that. You have to have internet, obviously. Let me plug in my internet. My Ethernet. There, we got Ethernet now, we got internet. So basically, it takes a few seconds after you connect. If you go to Update and Security. Now, as far as switching out of S mode into Windows 10 Home, this applies to anywhere in the United States and Canada. Some other countries, I'm honestly not sure how the manufacturers do that with S mode, because I've had lots of comments when people say it's not available, it don't work, or they just didn't follow my steps. So go to Activation down here. It's looking for updates. So right here it says Windows 10 Home. Hopefully you can see that in S mode. Go to the store to switch to Windows 10 Home. Sometimes it won't work, but I usually don't worry about that. You can do that at any point. Once you start installing or want to download apps that are outside the Microsoft Store, you know, Chrome, for example, you need to get out of S mode. Otherwise, you're stuck with strictly Microsoft certified stuff or out of the store. You know, there are a lot of apps in the store, but still, you want to do your own thing. I just don't like the restrictions of S mode. It's basically like a Chromebook on steroids. So I'm going to go to File Explorer. Let's click on my PC. Now there's our Samsung 970, 500 gigabyte SSD right there. Our 1 terabyte hard drive. I'm going to right click on Start button down here, and I'm going to go to Disk Management. That's a brand new drive. It's not allocated yet, so there it is right there. We got to initialize it. Just hit OK. It's disk 0 because the other one is disk 1. We'll make this big. So it's right here, unallocated. Just anywhere in here, all you got to do is right click on it, go to New Simple Volume. Now you can partition this drive, 1 terabyte, to have 2 500s or whatever you want. I'm going to leave it 1 terabyte, hit Next, basically do all the defaults. Right here is where you can put in how much you want, you know, 400, 300, whatever. Hit Next. Drive letter D, hit Next. NTFS, yes. Don't change any of that. Hit Finish. It's going to do a quick format. And boom, there's our new volume. It popped right up over here. So there is our 1 terabyte. We can just right click on, oop, there goes the video driver trying to install. Try that again, right click, rename. You can just call it data or pictures or whatever you want, anything, hit continue. There's your 1 terabyte. You can label it HDD, you can label this one SSD if you want, your choice. So yeah, like I said, to switch out of S mode, wasn't going to do this, guys, but so many of these new laptops. So the whole idea with S mode is any new laptop you buy now that say it's under 500, 450 bucks, 500 bucks, these lesser expensive ones on Amazon or whoever or Walmart, they're coming in S mode because, and they only have 128 gig SSD. Sometimes 250 or 256, but usually 128 with 4 gigs of RAM, and keeps the price of the computer down. So they just assume with, you know, the small amount of storage and being in S mode, you're only going to get Windows apps out of the store, which are generally quite small in size. You're not going to be downloading large programs and throwing QuickBooks and all that kind of stuff on there. So they give you a small drive, and you're going to use one drive for all your storage, you know, cloud storage. So by default in S mode, when you go to save a file, it goes into your OneDrive folder. That's just the way they do it. You know, you have your documents, your pictures, whatever, it'll be in your OneDrive folder. If I go to File Explorer, right here's OneDrive. You can see it's empty right now, but you start saving files. You know, once you create your Microsoft account, you got your OneDrive, got all that Microsoft stuff. So I just don't like it. I don't like it. It's got a lot of limitations. So anyway, if we go back here to Update and Security, go to Activation here, it's download all kinds of updates. You can get all the Windows updates first. Make sure you got the latest version of Windows 10. you shouldn't have any problem doing this. Okay, you have to have internet. If you're trying this without internet, you're not going to get this option. It'll just say upgrade my Windows, and then it's only going to offer you a Windows 10 Pro for like $100. So you click on go to store. You're right here where it says switch out S mode. It is free. It's always been free. Click get, and right here it's going to ask you either to sign in with your existing account. You can use your current email account, phone number, or your Skype account, which is a Microsoft account because Microsoft owns Skype. Basically, or you can click here for sign-in options. The easiest thing to do if you don't have a Microsoft account, just click on create one. And type, or right here, click where it says get a new email address. You can use your phone number, your smartphone if you want. And you can just type in, you know, Dale Cadillac Computer at Outlook.com, hit next, put in a password, boom. All right. DaleCadcom at Outlook.com. I'm going to hit next unless it's taken. Nope. I'm going to create a password. Make sure you remember that password because after this is all said and done, you're going to have a Microsoft account. You can use it to sign into any Microsoft apps, any Microsoft website, anywhere, office.com, live.com, hotmail.com, etc. So hit next. Just put in your initials if you're concerned about privacy, what country, birth date. Make one up. Who cares? Hit next. Now we're still in S mode. Now right here is where people slip up on this next screen. If you click next, you're going to create a Microsoft account that's going to require you to log into your device every time you power or boot it up. So just click over here where it says Microsoft Apps Only. Unless you want to do that, that's fine. So now if you wait a second here, it says working on it, switch out as small. And sometimes this will fail. It'll come up and say, oops, didn't work, whatever. See, it's all set. It's that simple. Now we'll close this out. Boom, we got Windows 10 Home with a digital license. Now if we ever put in a new drive, we do a fresh clean install and delete everything. New hard drive, a new SSD, you're always going to have a Windows 10 Home digital license now. So now you can go outside the Microsoft store to get your apps and programs and get them installed without just being confined to this. So don't send me emails to that address because I'm probably going to forget about it and never use it, but whatever. All right, guys. Anyway, so that's how you switch out of S mode. Again, like I said, I got a dedicated video to doing that, but you just got to make sure that you're connected to the internet and you have all the updates. If you're having trouble, make sure you get all the updates. Another thing you can do too is go into settings. If whatever reason it's not working, just go to your settings, go to apps. As soon as the yellow here, find the Microsoft Store right here. Go to advanced options and scroll down and reset that app because the store is simply an app. It's just an app. Just like OneDrive or any other Microsoft product. Reset it, open the store back up, maybe get all the updates in the store. Go up here to the three dots, go to downloads and updates, and click up here where it says get updates. Update all your apps in the store. You know, if you're having trouble. You shouldn't really have trouble. Again, if you're in another country, I just can't speak for that, only for the United States. So anyway, guys, I won't bore you anymore with my jabbering. I appreciate you watching, and I appreciate all my subs getting me over 10,000 so quickly. That's awesome. Couldn't have done it without you. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.